Eastern State Penitentiary, also known as ESP, was and still remains a huge part of Philadelphia's history. I often wondered about this monolithic structure in the middle of this Philadelphia neighborhood, this decaying prison, which takes up more than 2 entire city blocks with all its majesty, as time moves on, is still standing.
The purpose of Eastern State Penitentiary was to change what prison was like beforehand, to rehabilitate inmates that came through. Prison was now a form of punishment instead of what came beforehand, which was corporal forms of punishment. Eastern State was meant to be a humane alternative.
The prison's groundbreaking design by British-born architect John Haviland was the first penitentiary of its kind, which took 7 years to complete, opened in 1829, which was comprised of 7 wings of individual cell blocks. The evolution of Eastern State Penitentiary, from penitentiary to tourist attraction.
So, Eastern State Penitentiary is America's most historic prison. It's really the first of its kind. It opens up in 1829 and closes in 1971. Our most famous inmate is definitely Al Capone. He spends about 7.5 to 8 months here at Eastern State, and he was a model inmate from our records. Willie Sutton, the infamous bank robber, did spend some time here at the penitentiary as well. But we like to talk about Pep the dog a lot. Pep the dog is, again, one of our most notable inmates. He, the legend has, was sentenced to Eastern State for committing a murder. So in the 1920s, Governor Pinchot, his wife had a dog, Pep, and a cat. And according to legend, the dog, Pep, murdered the cat, and the wife was so distraught that she demanded Pep sent to prison. And so the governor said, well, all right, that's what I have to do. In Eastern State's entire 142 years worth of history, 100 individuals were successful in escaping from the penitentiary. That being said, 99 were recaptured. That means one gentleman still remains at large today. His name is Leo Callahan, and he escaped in 1923 with 5 other individuals using a ladder to go over the perimeter wall outside. But the most famous escape attempt happened in 1945 in April, and it's pretty famous because of how many people escaped at the same time and who was involved. So Slick Willie Sutton was involved in this escape attempt, and 12 inmates escaped using this tunnel. Now this tunnel was incredible. It was 15 feet deep, 97 feet across, 15 feet back up, and it came out on Fairmount and 22nd Street. So 12 inmates, they escaped in April, and it took a few months to get everyone captured again. Now, some are recaptured within hours. The man who dug the tunnel himself, his name is Clarence Kleindienst, was recaptured in 3 hours. Willie Sutton was captured not too long after that, but one gentleman, his name is James Grace, he spent about a day or 2 in the Fairmount area here of Philadelphia, and he wasn't from Philadelphia, so he doesn't have any friends, family, doesn't have any money. So he realizes this, then comes back to Eastern State. A few days later, knocks on the front door and says, "Can I come back inside? I'm hungry." And you better believe the prison let him back on in. Eastern State Penitentiary closes in 1971 for 2 big reasons. The biggest one, of course, is because it's incredibly outdated. The prison system has changed a lot, in that 142 years. And in order to keep the prison operational past 71, there needed to be some updates done to the entire 10 acres of land, and there wasn't enough money for that. It laid abandoned for about 24 years. In that time period, there were a lot of ideas of what to do with this prime Philadelphia real estate. They thought of making a shopping center, a huge building for the Department of Justice, and my personal favorite, an apartment complex. We like to joke here and say it would have been one big gated community because of the outside perimeter wall. The prison laying abandoned for so long was probably not great because it is a huge chunk of real estate that could be put to better use. Plus, when you have a huge abandoned building, it could be a little bit dangerous on the outside of the neighborhood. So in 1965, Eastern State was declared a National Historic Landmark. Once that happens, there are things you can and you cannot do. That outside perimeter wall cannot be torn down. Therefore, if Eastern State was to be remodeled, torn down, the machinery would have to come through the front gate area, which I'm sure you've seen is not very big. So it really becomes more expensive to tear it down than to just leave it the way. So in 1994, when Eastern State opens up as a historic site, people were interested. People wanted to see it, and I think that really describes why the historic site has remained open and continues to grow every year.
Eastern State Penitentiary, which is owned by the city of Philadelphia, operates presently and attracts more than 1,000 visitors each year. The public can tour this historical penitentiary for a nominal fee and get a first-hand look at this monumental site. Audio tours, self-guided walking tours, and guided tours are offered. Today, Eastern State Penitentiary is host to one of the most popular tourist attractions in the country, Terror Beyond the Walls.
People love to be scared, and Terror Behind the Walls does a very good job of that. They have Hollywood type makeup and actors that really put you in the moment there and really terrify you. In Eastern State's next few years, we are really ringing true our mission statement, which is to talk about current criminal justice system with the history of Eastern State, and to really give the public a forum to both learn and discuss this in a safe and comfortable environment. So while we're talking about the history of Eastern State, we're also talking about 2016, 2017, and mass incarceration. In May 2016, we opened a brand new exhibit called Prisons Today, Questions in the Age of Mass Incarceration, where we've literally stated mass incarceration is not working. And we asked visitors to learn more about that and to maybe help us all figure out ways that we can move forward in prison reform.